And welcome back to New Smyrna Speedway. It is time for the next four features of the night here on Night 2 coverage. The World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing, along with Charles Crawl and Jesse Punch. I'm Adam Mackey, going to bring you the rest of the show tonight. It's going to be a late night after the rain delay earlier, but we're happy we're actually getting to see what looks to be a full night and maybe a little bit of morning racing.
I will tell you what, Adam, we got here this afternoon. It was gray with a little overcast. Sun was popping out every now and then, but we had, like we did yesterday, we kept an eye on that radar, and we were right on the edge of that line of storms. And while we were unfortunate in that we did get a little bit of interference from Mother Nature here, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as it could have been. We were about an hour behind schedule, and if you've been with us here all night long, you saw a terrific season opener for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And as you can see, we are lined up and ready to rock and roll for the first pro late model feature event of the week here. We were just about ready to rock and roll with these cars last night when Mother Nature rolled in. So I think we've got a lot of adrenaline built up after a long night of waiting for these teams. But we should have a pretty good show and a lot of really good racing yet to come tonight.
Pro late models coming up first. Of course, they didn't get a chance to get on the track last night. We only saw the Sportsman one night ago before that rainfall hit. Chase Johnson bested a field, a strong field of pro lates earlier in qualifying. He was fast time coming from the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway area. Chase Johnson turning an 18.345, besting Connor Jones, who was second quick, and Ryan Luza, who was third quick. And you see the cars rolling off on the back straightaway as we get ready to go 35 laps tonight for the pro lates. Taking a look at the starting lineup, Ryan Luza starting on the pole in car number 77, was third quick in qualifying. Connor Jones starts outside of row number 1. Row 2 has Chase Johnson, the top qualifier, and Brent Cruz, a 24 car for Wilson Motorsports, looks pretty strong early this week. We'll
keep an eye on Brent Cruz tonight. Carson Brown will start 5th tonight alongside Gavin Bichelle, another young man we're going to keep a close eye on all week long. TJ DeCare, a name very familiar to race fans in this neck of the woods. He is slated to start 7th in car number 88 alongside Ryan Kamish in the number 42.
29 of Hunter Wright starting in the 9th position. Charlie Keevan in the 55 will start 10th. Michael Hind, winner of the World Series points for the Pro Lates a year ago, and 69 starts 11th. And Gil Linster, the 1X, will start 12th.
Hunter Wright with a quick engine change earlier this afternoon as well, so keep an eye on car number 29 there once we go green. Nicholas Noggle in the number 08, starting 13th alongside Jeff Johnston, in the 57J. Dawson Sutton alongside Jimmy Renfro Jr. back in row number 8.
Row 9 will have Corey Luciano in the 94 car and Jeremy Wharf in the 00 starting 18th. Kent Ballage, veteran from the Midwest, in car 61 starts 19th, and Ruben Caceres in car 77 will start 20th.
Johnny Aramendia, Crash Aramendia, starting 21st tonight alongside TJ Monroe. Glenn Stiers, 23rd alongside Tony Breidinger, young lady who is fastest in preseason practice for the ARCA Menard Series over at the Big Track. She will start 24th.
99 of John White's will start 25th. Mike Mayberry scheduled to start 26th in the 45. Brandon Turbush in the 17X starting 27th, and 28th place starter, the 7 of Mitch Hover.
David Weaver in the number 11, slated to start 29th tonight. Dakota Stroop involved in a practice crash earlier today, slated to start 30th, if indeed he's able to answer the bell tonight. And how about this name, all the way out back, slated to start 31st, clutch problems in qualifying, did not get a lap. Katie Hettinger, she has been fast all week long. She's going to be coming from 31st on the grid. We're going to keep an eye on that 81 car throughout the course of our Pro Late Model feature event coming up here momentarily. Field still circulating, warming up the temps, getting tires up to temp, getting engine fluids up to temp as well.
Great crowd here tonight at New Smyrna Speedway for night number 2. Despite the weather forecast that we had, the fans waited through the weather. When the green flag dropped on that NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race, the place was packed.
Absolutely packed. What a great crowd. They stuck it out through a couple of rain delays. They were here for practice, like early in the afternoon. Just a fantastic crowd on hand. And Got 4 more races yet to run before we put the period on this one here tonight, Adam. And this could be one of the better races of the night. A terrific field of race cars, a great entry list in all the divisions, but this may be one of the deepest entries we have seen in this class in many years.
Absolutely the case. We also have the Sportsman, which we saw in action last night. We have the Florida Modifieds and the Bomber A's all set to run on this Saturday evening. Ralph Miller, the chief starter there in the flag stand again. It's been since early 2000s since we haven't seen him in the flag stand for the World Series. That's right. He had a hard time remembering. So he's been doing at least the last 17 or so of these World Series. Kind of started with flagging down at the quarter midget track inside of turns 1 and 2. About 2000, I think, when it opened up. Worked there for a few years and then kind of moved on to the big track and the big flag stand here. And it's a familiar face that we see waving the flags for all of the regular action of the World Series.
I enjoyed kind of eavesdropping to that conversation you were having with him during the rain delay yesterday. And you asked him that question, and he was like, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
He had to phone a friend, his wife, Binky, and she said, like I know.
Yeah.
And then they started to backpedal and figure out from 2000 how many years it took before he moved up to the starter stand here at New Smyrna. A big field of pro late models on track getting ready to go. Racing action here tonight. Their first race of the week, they were scheduled to race last night. Again, didn't happen because of the weather that had set in. First 2 days plagued by a little bit of bad weather. The rest of the week's forecast looks really good, so join us here at New Smyrna Speedway for nights 3 through 9. It's going to be a lot of fun here. A lot of great weather forecast. It's going to be a little cooler the next couple days, and then back into the 70s and 80s.
I'll take a little cooler. We don't need Ohio or Illinois weather.
Correct.
The 85, I'm not quite ready for 85 degrees just yet.
The 1 to go signal being given. Field will come to green. Pace car lights are off, and race number 2 of the night. The pro late models. These other features have a lot to live up to. That NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour race tonight, outstanding.
I wanted to jump up and start clapping at the end of that one.
And we get to see a lot of those same modified guys compete starting Monday through Friday as well. It's going to be a ton of fun here on Flow Racing. Ready to go green. Ryan Luza inside lane. Connor Jones outside lane. We are back underway. Pro late models on track for the first time. Night 2 at New Smyrna.
Luza with a great start. He's going to slide to the top side of the racetrack and kind of chop off Connor Jones there. Jones now dipping to the bottom side of the racetrack. First battle for 3rd and 4th.
Chase Johnson on the inside lane. Running the outside lane is Brent Cruz. They complete lap number 1. The pro late models here, all about momentum. Right in the middle of the field, we've got them piling up. Big damage, multiple cars crashing into the inside wall. Huge. You see Ballage spinning around the 61. I think he's mostly unscathed, but several of the cars with heavy, heavy damage as they came to complete lap number 1.
Yeah, I saw the 00 completely sideways. That's Jimmy Renfro Jr. Look at all that bodywork. And there's Katie Hettinger. That's a direct result of the issues she had in qualifying earlier today. Probably what could be the fastest race car in this class at the racetrack. And she is
and Renfro's
damage
isn't really that bad. That's the nose and hood from another race car. And we saw one of the cars up against the wall without a nose piece, and it very well could be that 77. And we saw going to pit road, Ruben Caceres.
He's trying. Jimmy's trying to get that body work. The body work that is not his.
Correct.
He's trying to get that off of his race car without stopping. And there you see Ruben Caceres without the body work. And I'm going to put 2 and 2 together here and guess that that's where that came from.
Guessing very well could be the case. They would like that back in one piece if possible.
If possible, because they're going to need to get that back on there. There it is, finally shaken loose off of the Jimmy Renfro car. And
hey, there's an airbox there laying on the track. The nose piece and the hood. As we take a look at the Flow Racing replay, here's what happens. We'll see where it originates. Top side.
Yep.
Middle side, top side. Sideways was Kevin in the 55, and they stack up behind him. Nowhere to go.
Well, actually, it was a little bit in front. The 55 car got off way sideways coming off of turn 4 there.
And it is kind of stacked
and
up
both of the 00 cars.
Jimmy Renfrew and Jeremy Wharf. Wharf went into the inside wall. And Caceres had his whole front end of his race car ripped off. Mostly cosmetic, I think. See how that happens. Right there when he got into the back. And that's going to be pretty heavy damage. Suspension as well, I'm sure, on the Caceres car. Ken Ballage, I think, comes out of this one okay in the 61.
Got a little damage there to the right rear corner when he got kind of knocked sideways there, but I think he's going to get away with very little damage to the running componentry of that automobile. And big time contact there with Ruben Caceres to the outside.
A lot of great views here on our Flow
Racing
Racing broadcast. Yeah, up into the air.
That car there.
And that was Hettinger. And that was where her damage originated. Look at Hunter right all in the middle of that.
And Hunter had a great race car earlier in the day, qualified, I believe, P7. Look at that 55, all kinds of sideways. And the racetrack just kind of closes up there, especially when you've got them sideways all across the racetrack. And
what happened there was Keevan got up the track a little bit and trying to keep it off of the car on the outside of him. He steered down the track, overcorrected, got a little out of shape. He was able to save it. Unfortunately, being that it was the first lap of the race, they were all piled up. You see the work going on to the 81 of Hettinger. You see the Anthony Campy racing team working diligently, trying to get that back together so they can get back out on the racetrack.
And that is one of the headlining teams of the Pro Late Model division nationally down there. And, of course, Katie Hettinger, one of the highly touted young up-and-coming, stars of this division, and she really has not had the opportunity to shine in that automobile. Obviously got rained out yesterday, and then clutch problems in qualifying.
She led about 40 laps, or more than that, at Speedfest for the Jake Sierra All-Star Store race, and led Augie Grill for most of those. And she faded a little bit later in the event, but still ran in the top 5. Finished the race there at Cordial, Georgia. A lot of big races coming up for Super Late Model competition. Super Late Models are off tonight. They were scheduled to run last night, got rained out. They'll be back in action tomorrow night here at the track for a regular distance affair. But the Super Late Models, of course, the ASA Stars National Tour, debuting Saturday, March 11th. And that will be taking place at Five Flags Speedway. That's a can't-miss event.
I'm waiting for Tuesday night. ASA Southern Super Series.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the first time as a part of the World Series here at New Smyrna Speedway.
So rolling under yellow, you see that it says 35 laps to go. They did not complete that first lap, so it will be a complete restart. No official laps in, so we're going to try it all once again.
And the unfortunate thing is we've thinned the starting field out a little bit there after that incident. So we will undoubtedly have some adjustments to the starting lineup. And how about Dakota Stroop there in the 47 car joining the field? Coming out of the garage area there to tag onto the tail end of this one.
We saw Dakota Stroop involved in practice today in a heavy crash outside of turn number 2. We saw the pictures on social media from Racing America earlier today of the crash over in the second corner. It involved 3 vehicles, and Stroop's was the most heavily damaged. So good to see him getting ready to pull back out onto the racetrack, and hopefully he'll be able to run all week.
It'd be great to see him run 35 laps here tonight. He could just be out doing some recon to make sure everything is back together and in place for the rest of the week, but it certainly would be good to see him compete here this evening as we continue to circulate behind the pace car.
Pro Late Model action at New Smyrna Speedway on night number 2 this Saturday evening. Coverage here on Flow Racing with Charlie Krall and Adam Mackey here in the booth. Jesse Punch will be with us in a little bit to talk to the winner and the top finishers after this race. We're closing in on getting this field realigned. Of course, no laps completed, so they'll go back to the original starting lineup, other than those involved in the crash that had to make some pit stops there. And we did have some takers coming to the pits to work on damage. Most of those, though, were pretty deep in the field.
It's interesting watching Katie Hettinger down on pit road. Anthony Campy, owner of that race team and that race car, was down there applying some bare bonds, tape, whatever you want to call it. He was doing the work himself on that automobile, so it's good to see the car owner, getting down there, getting his hands dirty. Unfortunately, having to do it early on here, but it's a good way to show some leadership down there. As the lights are finally back off, field going to line up back into double file order. Ryan Luza, Connor Jones back up on the front row. Let's see what shakes out here on our second attempt to get our first 35-lap pro late model feature of the week.
So Luza again will start from the inside of row number 1. Connor Jones again on the outside. Green flag, turn 4. Good restart. Back underway at New Smyrna Speedway.
Luza with another good start in that number 77 car. Connor Jones going to try to keep that automobile wound up to the top side of the racetrack. And they give up a little ground here as we're back under caution as we go down the back stretch.
They slow again because of a car stopped on the back straightaway. One of the cars stopping along the back stretch, bringing out the yellow. Right there, it's one of those involved early, the 00 of Renfrew. So maybe after getting that Caceres front body work off the car, it still wasn't feeling right. He stops and brings out the yellow, and kind of could have been a scary deal. Car's coming full speed out of turn 2 down the backstretch with a stopped car on the low lane.
Well, let's hope the third time is the charm here as Renfrew brings that 00 machine down to the attention of his crew. Going to work on that left front body work that you saw was askew there. As field now realigning in double file order as we go for attempt number 3. And I think third time is the charm on this one, Adam. It's the 1 to go signal given. Ralph Miller up on the flag stand, waving the 1 to go this time around. Lights off on the pace car.
We'll bring him in off of turn number 4. We will try it for the third time. Everything was good on that restart. It was perfect up in turn number 4. The front row of Ryan Luza and Connor Jones. Wheel to wheel, the noses came across through the starting box perfectly side by side. Now they have to try to match it again. Chase Johnson, top qualifier there inside of row number 2, 17-year-old driver that has had a good start to the week.
Alongside Brent Cruz, another one of those young drivers that has been highly, highly touted as he begins his stock car racing career. Field picking up the pace out of turn 4. Green flag back in the air. Let's see what happens down into 1.
And Luza, a pro late model veteran, takes him through turns 1 and 2 and looks strong off the second corner.
Oh.
Contact to Cruz from behind. Boy, a lot of contact there from Gavin Bushell.
Couple of young drivers, both of those young men very highly touted by their respective teams. Gavin Bushell all over the back bumper of Brent Cruz. And these two young men battle each other regularly up at the Millbridge Speedway up in suburban Charlotte. So these two very familiar with one another. We've got a car sideways there. Great save.
TJ DeCare down on the bottom of the racetrack, able to save it. A wild first 2 laps in this pro late model 35-lap feature down to the inside lane. Here comes the 26 of Dawson Sutton racing with TJ DeCare. DeCare, one of the members of the Troy DeCare family. It's his nephew. And now Hunter Wright, kind of a pro late model veteran, even though he's in his early 20s, making a move to the inside in the 29.
We've seen Hunter Wright here the last several years, competing regularly with us here at New Smyrna Speedway, regular up at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway as well. Engine issues all day long. We heard that car in qualifying. It sounded terrible, and they discovered engine was broken, so they swapped it out. He dropped to the tail of the field for the start, and he's working his way back up as we see a great battle for position. There's defending World Series champion Michael Hine taking a position.
Took a spot from Ryan Camish, who's making his first ever appearance here at the World Series. Side by side, Brent Cruz to the inside lane, racing with the 25 of Carson Brown. It's for the 4th position. A lot of young drivers we haven't seen race here at the World Series. Plenty of rookies, as always, here in the pro late model division. You saw Bushell on the 5 dirt track it off of turn 4.
Big handful of steering wheel there. Gavin Bushell on the charge. He is right now on the rear deck of that 24 car. Nose to tail down into 1. And here comes Michael Hine in the 69. Michael very strong here in the early going.
Shouldn't be surprised. We've seen Michael Hind obviously run well here in the past. Has picked up wins, including 3 last year. The Pro Late Model champion at the World Series in 2022. Also the Speedfest winner a year ago in 2022. A great season he had there early on during the year 2022. There's on the left side of the screen, Carson Brown running 4th, Brent Cruz in the 24 running 5th, and then Bochelle and Hines 6th and 7th.
Cruz looking for some racing room to the bottom side. Couldn't make it stick. He's going to fall back in the line behind Carson Brown there. Try to get off of turn 2. Can't quite get the power down. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. This division of race cars,
look out,
really, close quarters racing right there. But this division of race cars, very highly momentum based. The higher up on the racetrack you are, the more momentum you're able to carry. But right now, Brent Cruz trying to make it work on the bottom side.
Making some ground up, but then again, the 25 of Carson Brown pulls forward. Michael Hine drives it in hard, stays on the bottom. He and Bochelle make a little bit of contact right there just outside of the top 5. Two-car battles there. 4th and 5th, 6th and 7th on our screen.
Throw a blanket over these drivers. Working hard off of turn 2 there. Brent Cruz couldn't quite clear Carson Brown as we've got a caution out. Looks like the number 11 automobile to the bottom side of the racetrack. David Weaver going to put us under the caution flag one more time with 25 laps remaining. Oh, there's another car sideways over there as well. I believe that's the 99 car.
John White's. So John White's out of Caldwell, Idaho, driving one of the Jet Motorsports cars this week. And the 11 of David Weaver, 2 cars that had spun opposite portions of the racetrack. They bring out the yellow with 10 laps down. We have 25 laps to go in this 35-lap feature event, our second race of the night. We will still see Sportsmen for their second and final race of the week. What a battle they had. Pretty good race last night that got our World Series started before rainfall set in for what seemed to be hours.
Felt like it.
Seemed like it. And then we watched some track drying, but it was just too late in the night to get restarted in time.
Hey, we saw an airboat on the racetrack last night.
They did everything they could. It just rained very hard for a long time. Most of that rain, surprisingly, you don't even notice down on the inside of the front straightaway.
I like what the late Larry Newber used to call a puddle on the racetrack casual water. There was a lot of casual water here last night, and it is pretty much dissipated. It is a
saw Mike Mayberry's car there, the 45, just get pushed off onto pit road.
But that area right there, that grassy area, it still looks like it might be a little soft, but that was inundated here yesterday when we walked out of here. So Mother Nature not doing us any favors last night, but even with a little interruption today, pretty nice evening here at New Smyrna Speedway. It's still a great crowd on hand. A lot of people sticking around after that thrilling Whalen Modified Tour season opener.
Scheduled for the rest of the night, the Sportsmen are next with a 50-lap feature. The Bomber A, a 20-lap feature, and then the Florida Modifieds 25. Tomorrow night, 7:30 race time. The Super Late Models will get a chance to race for the first time at 7:30 with their 35-lap feature. The Florida Modifieds are back again, as well as the Pro Late Models, the 602 Modifieds for the first time this week, and the E-Mods, all racing tomorrow night.
I am highly anticipating that 602 modified division. That class has grown and grown, and some of the every year it seems like some of the best characters that we get to talk about all week long are in that 602 modified class. And I still remember hanging with Karsten Dijon Tomaso's family on practice day here a couple of years ago, and how excited she was to be down here. And of course they ended up having a great week of racing action here, and the Hartwigs, another great racing family from up in the New Jersey area, they're entered and they're back. So we should have a good week of 602 modified action coming up here at New Smyrna.
25 to go. Field doubling up this time at the 2 to go. This is the choose rule. You see a red arrow just past the finish line. They get to choose their lane. Boy, the first one takes outside. The next 3 take inside. Big break for Brent Cruz from the 5th position. Will go up to the outside of row number 2. Why this is a huge break for Cruz, so that's the money spot. Outside of row 2, he could very well move up to the 2nd spot after we go back to green if he can stay tucked up behind the 77 of Ryan Luza.
So Connor Jones to the inside of our leader, Ryan Luza. That is your front row. Chase Johnson, Carson Brown back in row 2. Excuse me, yeah. It's Chase Johnson and Brett Cruz in row 2. When you look at the monitor instead of the scoring monitor, oh, yeah, we saw this a couple of times last night. Hearing Tony Breidinger ran over the arrow on the racetrack, so she will give up all of her track position and drop to the tail.
Saw that in the Sportsman last night with Jason Vale, who had a very fast 75 car. He did not have a spotter, I don't believe, that was able to transmit the info after he did it the first time. They warned them. Unfortunately, he didn't have anyone relaying that message to him. He ran over it again, and he was sent to the tail, taking him out of contention for what could have been a feature win last night. They have waved off the start because the one of Breidinger hadn't dropped all the way to the back quite yet. So yellow's still waving. The white one of Tony Breidinger.
Two number ones could have been Gil Linster or Tony Breidinger. So it looks like Tony is the one who, unfortunately, is going to be dropping to the tail here.
So 25 laps to go. Once they get the penalized car to the back of the field, some of the stragglers back here are just riding right now, not really wanting to be up tagged too closely at the back. And they must have all chosen the inside lane because that's where they're running right now. We'll try the one to go again. The race leader is Ryan Luza in the 77. He has been, over the years, a very stout pro late model competitor. A Cypress, Texas driver, 26 years of age, former Five Flag Speedway pro late model champion. We know he can get it done behind the wheel, and he's going to be tough competition all week long. Connor Jones, he's another good one. 2 years in a row, he finished runner-up in pro late model points here for the World Series. He'd like to win a championship this week, and he's going to try to do it in the pros and supers. Coming to green with 25 to go.
It's like Connor Jones getting the power down. Ooh, the 77 spinning the tires, and we're going to stack them up here at start-finish.
Tearing them up here in their first race of the week. This is unfortunate. Last year's champion, Michael Hind in the 69 right there. The Flames, Gavin Boschel in the number 5. A tough start to 2023 for Michael Hind. Did end up having a good finish at Speedfest.
Good to see the window net coming down. Michael moving around in that car. Gavin Bichelle, the other driver involved. We also saw the 94, Corey Luciano, with a lot of damage to that automobile. And it all started when Ryan Luza in the 77 car on the outside lane spun the tires coming to that green, and the field stacked up behind with nowhere to go.
There was quite a bit of nose-to-tail contact. Many of the drivers saved. Middle of the pack is kind of where it started to stack up real bad. And there you see a rear end shifted way over to the left.
Let's take a look at what happened on this restart, see if we can see exactly what it was. There's the 77.
This didn't go quite
right away. And then Gavin Bichelle tried to make some evasive moves, but unfortunately Michael Hind was already there. And look at that contact right there, head on into the outside wall for both the 5 and the 69. There's the contact to the bottom side of the racetrack that sent the 94 sideways. Everybody else doing a great job trying to work their way past.
Dawson Sutton in the 26 also sustained some damage to the front end. Yeah, they stacked him up real good in that outside lane, unfortunately. Had a similar situation at Speedfest in the pro late model race where driver up front didn't get going. There's the 94 going around. You can see rear end not where it should be located there.
Nope. Not a lot of body damage, but certainly a lot of damage to the rear suspension on that 94 car. Here should be a great look at what happened here. Coming right at you, Michael Hind, Gavin Bichelle bouncing her off the outside wall. Katie Ettinger with a nice evasive move. Could have been a really tough night for Katie Ettinger if she'd been swept into that one. And there's the damage on the Gavin Bichelle automobile.
Gavin Bichelle in the number 5, maybe the most serious damage of all the cars. How about Michael Hind driving this car away?
get the Perseverance Award on this one.
Wow. Thing is tore up.
Like just about every panel on that car but the left rear fender and the hood, or the roof.
Maybe the door's okay.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Michael Hine, the champion a year ago here at the World Series, and he's been in victory lane a few times during World Series competition. It's not going to happen tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the week he ends up coming back for a victory. One of the fastest drivers as they wait for a tow truck on the 5. It's right there beside him. Trying to decide maybe a rollback on this one. Let's be real. This could be a rollback situation.
Yeah.
So Michael Hine going to take it back to the pits and going to go to the pit stall. They're going to survey it. I doubt we're going to see it back out there, but you never know.
You never know. I would imagine I would be concerned about the radiator, but I don't see anything leaking out of it. So maybe they'll just throw a right rear. Yeah, there's that. The radiator's definitely loose.
Yeah.
Definitely
it's
loose.
Definitely loose.
Yeah, get that air box from,
That was laying on the track
from earlier.
From Caceres' car. Well, to work on it.
Well,
he was able to drive it to the pits. That's always a good sign.
It's always a good sign. And it didn't look like it was dog tracking or anything like that, so it should be relatively straight should the radiator issues be able to be rectified.
We've completed 10 of the 35, and they are going to be able to hook this one up to the tow truck and take it away. Gavin Bushell in the 5. Mooresville, North Carolina. One of the Millbridge competitors we talked about earlier.
You know, it's interesting. We saw 2 cars head on into the outside wall with a lot of damage to the front and no fluid on the racetrack. So, should be, you got to think that even if that radiator had been knocked loose at the 69th, they could find a way to firm that up and get it, you know, solidified under there. Maybe Michael Hine can continue on here.
Cleanup finishing up on our front straightaway during our second race of the night. What a week it will be. The Tour Type Modifieds will be back in action starting again on Monday. They're not in competition here tomorrow night. We still have a great night of racing action scheduled starting at 7:30 for our Sunday evening.
Nothing else going on tomorrow night, so you should just come on back and join us here
This
live
is the
on
place
Flow,
to be.
right? Yeah.
Can't make it to the World Series. Next best thing is watching it with us on our television.
And I got to tell you, you've been coming down here way longer than I have. I've been a regular down here the last 3 years, and I don't think I have seen this racetrack more crowded with race teams, race transporters, race cars than we have this year. Have you ever seen this many race cars at this racetrack?
Well, I came in on Thursday for practice, and when I got here, they were parked not only in the pits, but all the way around outside of turns 1 and 2 in what would be typically just driveway area and personal vehicle parking for pit crew members.
And the campground, absolutely jam-packed with race teams, race fans camping here this weekend, and just the parking lot situation here is just incredible. It's every inch of space has been taken. And how many different divisions did we decide we're racing? 13 different classes of cars this week.
Yeah,
I think we're going
it's
to see at
something
least
in
once.
that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Southern Super Series coming in on Tuesday night. The ASA Southern Super Series racing their first points race of the 2023 season. That will be on Tuesday evening. A 100-lap race paying $10,000 to the win.
Should have a very stout entry. Of course, all of the cars that are entered here for the World Series, I believe, are automatically entered into that, if I understand that correctly. And then another dozen or so that have already pre-entered just that Southern Super Series race. So should have a very competitive field of cars here on Tuesday night.
Yeah, they've had a few. They had 12 or 14 cars enter that weren't entered for the whole week. They had another group of cars that have since entered. Today, the early entry list for the super late models on Tuesday night, showing 22 cars, but it's going to be more than that because there were several guys that are going to run on Tuesday night in the Clyde Hart Memorial that have not officially entered yet, that are racing here during the week. Officially, William Byron is racing on Tuesday night with the ASA Southern Super Series. Gio Ruggiero, Hunter Robbins is coming to race. Gabe Summers, Derek Griffith, a lot of the guys that race here during the course of the week. William Sawalich, Bubba Pollard, Stephen Nassy, Matt Craig. There's a lot of big names on that list.
And we saw it as we were going over that entry list. The 57 car ran over the cone. He will have to drop to the 10. Looked like he didn't even try. He didn't even try. It looked like he may have the same situation. No spotter up on the roof, but Jeff Johnston will have to drop the tail on this restart.
There's the one to go. I think after about 2 or 3 nights, these guys are going to start to know they can't run over the red arrow.
Yeah.
Do not want to restart from the tail.
Don't abuse the juice going, folks, because it will drop you to the back. And as we've seen, we saw it in the mod race earlier and in this race. You get sent to the back, and there is always the possibility that there's going to be some problems in the middle of the field here. And it's as narrow as this racetrack can get, hard to avoid those problems when they break out in front of you. Pace car heading to pit road. Adam, ready to go back green with 25 laps remaining.
Ryan Luza, the leader, gets up to speed quickly in turn number 4 this time. Will shoot out front into the lead. Connor Jones trying to get back to the top, then goes back to the bottom in 1 and 2. 3rd and 4th there. Chase Johnson, top qualifier on the inside lane. Outside is Carson Brown.
Connor Jones dropping into the 2nd position. He had a great restart, now putting some pressure on Ryan Luza off of turn 4. Here comes Hunter Wright in the red and white number 29 car. Right around the top side of Brent Cruz. He's going to try to break into the top 5 for the first time here tonight.
We've seen Hunter Wright here in competition, 2 or 3 years of pro late model action. Up front for the lead. It heats up again. Connor Jones going after the number 1 spot before he drops back in line on the front stretch.
Connor Jones breaking into the super late model ranks for the first time here at the World Series this year. 2 times the last 2 years he has finished runner-up in the championship standings. He has had phenomenal success on the racetrack, but he always seems to have that one night where he just has some issues that drops him back in the point standings. Is this the year that he can finally put it all together? He's having a very strong run here on opening night, currently battling Ryan Luza for the lead.
Well, this whole week of the World Series is more like a marathon, not a sprint. And so far in this race, we've seen a lot of drivers thinking it's a sprint. We've tore up a lot of equipment in their first race of the week. It's settled down here momentarily, but the action heating up once again for the lead. Jones hard into turn 3.
Driving it in deep. He's going to try to make that bottom side work. Going to lead across the stripe. Connor Jones to the top. Ryan Luza now trying. Not going to make it stick down in turn 1. Ryan Luza dropping back into that 2nd position.
Final 20 laps of this 35-lap affair, and Connor Jones, a fast number 44, has taken the lead. Will try to set sail from the rest of the field. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Nose to tail. It's heating up right there, led by the 25 of Carson Brown.
Chase Johnson putting the chrome horn to work. Last time through turns 3 and 4. Let's see if he can get to the back bumper of Chase Johnson one more time. Not going to need it, although he might have thrown the fender to him right there off of turn 4. But now Chase Johnson to the inside. Side-by-side battle for 3rd, 4th, and now 5th. Here comes Brent Cruz in the number 24 car.
Brent Cruz recovering. Started this race on the outside of row number 2. Now moves up to the inside here. Takes the spot away, back up into the 4th position. Ooh, a little bit of contact there, maybe not quite clearing the 25 before moving up. Speaking of not quite clearing, how about up the track goes Nicholas Noggle trying to complete a pass back in the field.
And look who has cracked the top 10 for the first time tonight. A lot of damage to the nose of that car, but Katie Hettinger working her way up into the 9th position. That car looks like it's pretty competitive.
It's a fast race car. She has shown that in practice. The car having clutch issues in qualifying. Had to start way at the back of the field. Fortunately, she didn't tear it up badly. Just some body damage. Goes to the inside of Charlie Keevan. Continues her moves to the front.
Of course, Katie, the granddaughter of former ARCA midget champion.
Ryan
Problems. Luza coming to a stop outside of turn 2.
Second place as he crossed the line this most recent lap with 19 laps completed. Ryan Luza having issues. It doesn't look like severe damage on the car, but we will check it out here in just a bit. 77 doesn't look bad on the left side. Back of the car looks to be intact. Front of the car looks to be pretty good, but definitely issues. Window net down on Ryan Luza's machine after a solid run leading several laps, and then in second, looked to be on his way to a podium finish tonight. Not going to be the case for Ryan Luza.
And depending on the level of damage on the right side of that car, could be a long night getting that car back together. Let's take a look at what happened going down into turn 1. Keep an eye on that car second in line.
Looked okay going into turn 1, middle of turn 1 and 2. Right front goes down, I have a feeling. And up and just into the wall. Most likely a little bit of suspension damage on the right front at most. Did a nice job to really slow it down.
Let's take a look at full speed. I'm going to tell you what, he did a really nice job getting that car slowed down. That could have been way worse.
Did a great job. Now we're going to look at it in slow motion once again. This hit won't be as bad as the full speed hit, Charlie. This one doesn't hurt as bad. And there you go.
Just a little kiss.
Yes.
Yeah, just a little kiss. Get ready for Valentine's Day, right? Just a little kiss.
So Ryan Luza, bad break, but could have been a lot worse. As he got it woed down. Definitely felt something going awry, or he wouldn't have been able to slow it down as quickly as he did. 16 laps to go, 19 laps completed. Connor Jones, your leader, fast race car, second quick in qualifying, and looks like able to match it so far. But the top qualifier, Chase Johnson, young driver, the number 20. It's all youth right here up front in this race, top 5.
Absolutely. We remember seeing Connor Jones here when he was just a 14-year-old competing here in the Pro Late Model division. He's going to run a partial season schedule for Venerini Motorsports in the ARCA Menard Series, in addition to adding on some super late model races to his schedule here in 2023. A lot of people keeping their eyes on this young man as someone who's got a pretty big future ahead of him. Of course, Chase Johnson, a regular up at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
Johnson gaining his experience, as you mentioned, at Nashville, 7th in the Pro Late Model standings this past season. He made 4 starts here at the World Series a year ago, had 1 top 10 in those 4 races, had some bad luck mixed in. He's off to a good start right now, and he's going to be restarting most likely from the front row unless he elects to choose the outside lane, but I'm pretty sure he'll pull alongside, making the opposite move that Connor Jones does.
You know, we often see this on at least one of the nights throughout the course of the week. We do see one of these nights where you get a very heavy attrition rate. And it does cause, like the Michael Hine team and Gavin Bichel's team, they're going to have a long night getting those cars back together. Ryan Luza's team might have a long night getting those cars back together. But the beneficiary of some of these on-track incidents for Hunter Wright started way out back after that engine change. Katie Hettinger was involved in that opening lap crash. She has avoided the rest of the issues on the racetrack and worked her way up into the top 10. So while it is very difficult for the teams who are involved, it does kind of open the door for some other drivers to have a little bit better fortune. And certainly for Hunter Wright, he started way out back with an engine that had 0 laps on it, and he has worked his way through the field with the help of a couple of these on-track incidents.
Waiting to see this field double it up. I believe they're going to choose this time. Connor Jones, I would guess, would choose the outside lane. Chase Johnson most likely will pull alongside, but you never know. That outside of row number 2 is a pretty good place to be as well. There's the choose arrow.
You think we're going to get a clean one this time? Might have had to send the pace car to the tail that time, I thought. All right, clean so far. Clean so far. All right.
They're getting it. Oh.
That
it's
was
tight.
Oh, I saw two that. Well, they're already at the tail of the field. There you go.
They're all going to pull the inside lane.
Can't go to the back if you're already at the back. That's my theory.
16 laps to go. And they've also placed a cone on the fence just past the finish line, right where that arrow is, so that the drivers can't say, we don't know where the arrow is. No penalties that time.
All right, we made it.
16 laps to go, and they get the 1 to go signal. Excitement isn't done in this one yet. And then we've got 3 features to go following this race. This is the Pro Late Model opener for the World Series. After the rain out last night, 16 to go. The official leaders, Connor Jones. Connor Jones, again, has really over the last 2 years been about as good as you can be in Pro Late Model competition here with 2 runner-up point finishes. 16-year-old competitor has picked up 3 wins at the World Series, looking for his 4th here tonight. He's got Chase Johnson, the top qualifier, to the inside.
And a very fast-paced restart. They picked up the pace halfway down the backstretch on the hammer out of turn 4. Connor Jones with the jump. He's going to lead the field down into turns 1 and 2. And here comes Brent Cruz. He was in that money spot on the restart. He's already pulled alongside Chase Johnson in that battle for second.
Exciting behind them, too, because here comes the battle. Nicholas Noggle back there. We've got the 29 of Hunter Wright. Katie Hettinger continues to move forward in the 81 car. Oh, they bump hard going into the corner up the track. The beneficiary there was Noggle, and Hunter Wright falls back. Sideways was the 25 of Carson Brown. That could have got real ugly.
I thought they were going to stack him up. Brown got all kinds of sideways, had to check up right off of turn 2. And Hunter Wright did a great job not really slam it into the back of that number 25 car. But Nicholas Noggle right now, the man on the move in that number 08 car.
And Noggle had just moments ago got into the 29 of Hunter Wright. And Hunter Wright kind of returns a little bit of a bump there as we come now to lap number 22.
And here comes Katie Hettinger now on the move. Katie with all kinds of damage to the nose of the number 81 car. She's blown past Hunter Wright and now tracking down Noggle. At the battle for 5th.
It is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th there on the screen. Such a young field of Pro Late Model competitors. Really hardly any veterans to speak of all the way through our field. Connor Jones leads the way by about a half second over Chase Johnson. That's the top 3. Brent Cruz runs in the 3rd spot in the 24. Pretty calm up front right now, Charlie. It's all the action back in the field.
Connor Jones with about a 7-car length lead over Chase Johnson. This is where all the action is, right here.
4th
Carson
place.
Brown in 4th. Nicholas Noggle in 5th. Katie Hettinger in 6th. Oh, Noggle going to throw the chrome horn there to Carson Brown off of turn 4. Brown's up the racetrack. Noggle will take over that position. Katie Hettinger going to try to follow through.
Noggle, another driver trying to compete in both Pro Late Models and Super Late Models this week. Driver from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, racing with us. Katie Hettinger continues to move forward. That car is fast. We knew it was, and she's proving it in this race.
That was the car that we saw leap skyward on that initial green flag attempt.
And if it been anything, it been it just right.
Just right.
Going to be 8 laps to go this time for Jones. Watching still the battle for Nicholas Noggle, who's in 4th. Katie Hettinger in 5th. Noggle started in the 13th position. He's picked up a lot of spots. Not as many as Hettinger, though.
Hettinger started 31st on this field, and she was really, that car really doing a great job through the center of the corner, turning extremely well. Let's see if she's able to turn into the outside wall right here at start-finish.
She tried to arch the car, get as much out to the outside lane as she could, and she did do exactly that. Got a little too high, though, hit the wall. Looks to be no damage done this time and continues on.
We see that pretty frequently here at New Smyrna Speedway. Somebody bouncing off that outside wall, going down into turns 1 and 2, and you got to give Anthony Campy and that crew a big pat on the back, because that car apparently strong as a battle tank out there tonight, because she has really used it all up here tonight, and she's still trying to put some pressure on Nicholas Noggle in that battle for 4th. Hettinger down to the bottom side of the racetrack, side by side for 4th.
Hettinger running currently in the 5th position. Couldn't pull alongside these Pro Late models with that momentum thing, and sometimes it's tough to pull off a pass on the inside lane, trying to keep your momentum up. That driver on the high side pinching you down right now. Noggle hanging on to it. Jones leads. Johnson, Cruz, 2nd and 3rd. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. It'll be 3 laps to go the next time they cross the stripe. The field spread all the way around New Smyrna Speedway.
Hettinger going to try to look to the inside one more time. Just 3 laps remaining. Quickly running out of time here. There's Connor Jones, top left of your screen. No pressure at all for the driver of that number 44 car. And on the bottom right, Katie Hettinger again, sticking it to the bottom side of Nicholas Noggle off at turn 4. Side-by-side battle for 4th down into turn 1.
Fighting for real estate a little bit with a lap and a half to go. Connor Jones upper level. We'll see the white this time, and Hettinger spins coming out of turn number 2. Look out. Will everyone be able to make it by? They do, and that was a scary moment. 2 of the drivers, I think, were racing side-by-side at the time, so it got real tight coming out of 2. And they kind of bounced off of each other multiple times there. And that time when they did, the 81 just went around, and an unfortunate break there. Was running the top 5, having a great run from the back of the field, and now going to be relegated to the tail.
And unfortunately, a lot of race cars, or unfortunately for Katie, not unfortunately for them, a lot of race cars still on the lead lap here, so she is going to give up a lot of positions on the racetrack. And this is not what Connor Jones was hoping to see.
Yeah, 17 cars showing as on the lead lap, which would put her back in the 17th position for the restart with just 2 laps to go, meaning a green-white checkered finish. Connor Jones did not want to see this yellow. As we take a look at what happened on the Flow Racing replay.
Could kind of see this brewing starting right here through turns 3 and 4. Nicholas was not wanting to give her any ground on the racetrack, and she was trying to force it, and she's going to force it down here into turn 1, and it's just not going to work out her way.
Look good there, still look good. Car pushes up. She tries to keep her momentum up, and that last hit on the driver's side door just turned the 81 car around.
And yeah, right there, she was looking into oncoming traffic.
Scary place to be.
I'm going to bet you she closed her eyes. Whew. I know I would have.
Down to 2 to go. A good run she was having, no doubt. She wanted just a little bit more, wanted to move up into the 4th position.
Not what Connor Jones was looking for, but this is perhaps what Chase Johnson was looking for.
Gives him another opportunity, and anything can happen on these restarts. Miss a shift, not get up to speed, spin the tires. They come down to the choose arrow here on the front straightaway. Outside lane, I'm sure we'll see the leader Jones take. This time Johnson again goes to the bottom, Cruz to the money spot, and Noggle to the inside. So pretty much every other.
Hunter Wright clearly taking the bottom lane there.
No question.
I think we got her figured out here.
Oh, Hettinger had to make a move to the inside at the last moment.
Looks like everyone clean on that choose. Should get the 1 to go this time around. I'm going to keep an eye on the 29 on this restart.
Well, we'll see if Cruz can get a run to the outside again.
Yeah.
Chase Johnson. He looked good in that one of the recent restarts. Received word the 57. Jeff Johnston being sent to the tail. He changed his mind after he went past the arrow. So he went to the outside, I guess. And once he got past the arrow, he decided he wanted to go to the inside, so he's being sent to the tail.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
He's a flip-flopper.
Yeah. Let's keep an eye on Brent Cruz in that 24. The outside of row 2 often is the preferred spot on these restarts. If you can't be the leader.
Oh, we heard that, but it looks like it's not up. The yellow lights are back on, so yes. Looked like the pace car was pulling pit side. I thought 57 was going to stay on that inside lane. That's not the case, and now drops to the bottom and waiting on Glenn's tires and the rest of his car also to go around, as well as the others toward the back of the field. 2 laps to go in this one. 33 laps completed. Is it going to be exciting for this green-white checker, Charlie? We're going to have some action.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping we get 2 consecutive green flag laps.
We don't want to tear anybody else up.
Yeah, we've already had enough action in this one, I think. But it's feeding time at the zoo. 2 to go, green flag back out. We're going to see what happens down here in turns 1 and 2. Connor Jones with the jump. Can Brent Cruz make something happen down into turns 1 and 2?
Oh, Chase Johnson almost got to the left rear quarter panel of Jones there. 2 going into 1. Down the backstretch into 3. Connor Jones looking strong.
Charlie Keevan with a good restart. Hunter Wright in the 29 car.
Chase Johnson.
Still green.
He underestimated the turn 4 wall and knocked off the right front to Chase Johnson, the top qualifier. Still racing to the checkered this time.
He fought the wall and the wall won. Let's see what happens here through 3 and 4. Looks like Connor Jones going to power it off at turn 4. He will pick up the win. Brent Cruz coming home in second.
Nicholas Noggle eventually takes third. Carson Brown, Hunter Wright, fourth and fifth. And with just 1 lap to go, man, he was giving it his all. The 20 of Chase Johnson came off of 4. Just got up. That wall kind of juts out a little bit. It narrows up on the straightaway, and he just underestimated it just a bit. Tried to stay in the throttle. When he did, he hit the right front. I'm sure getting the right front suspension as Connor Jones brings it down into Boss Laser victory lane. He was good. Error-free in this race for the 44, and he starts on the right foot for the World Series. Connor Jones will be in action in Super Late Model competition as well as Pro Late Models tomorrow night during night number 3 of the World Series.
A sight we've seen a few times here the last couple of years. Connor Jones in victory lane.
Claimed his 4th World Series victory. Back-to-back Pro Late Model second place runs and points the last couple of years. And looks for a championship this season. And this car was strong tonight. Flawless on the restarts. Was able to hold off his fellow competition. As we get ready to send it down to victory lane and Jesse Punch.
There you see him, Connor. All smiles there in the driver's seat as he's getting ready to climb out and celebrate the first win of the week. Here he is, Connor Jones in victory lane. Connor Jones, the first Pro Late Model winner of the week here, the World Series of Asphalt. Connor, dominating performance there, but a green-white checkered finish. What was going through your mind there on that final restart?
Really just hopefully not to get shit. The 20 raced me pretty clean, and I appreciate that. Green-white checkers are pretty tense, and, there's a lot to gain and a lot to lose. So I think we gained a lot, but we also learned a lot for tomorrow. And just can't thank all these guys at R&S Race Cars, Pepperjack Kennels, Nutrisource, Fire Suppressor Solutions, the Tool Shack, everybody.
You said you learned a lot for tomorrow. Where's your confidence level heading into tomorrow's race?
I'm pretty confident. We got the pole in the Super last night, but it got rained out. And we about got the pole tonight and yesterday for the Pro, and just barely got knocked off. But I think this definitely boosts my confidence in the Pro Late, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Congratulations, Connor.
Thank you.
That's Connor Jones, a confident start to the week here at the World Series of Asphalt.
Connor Jones, excellent run, claiming the victory. Brent Cruz takes second, Nicholas Noggle third, Carson Brown fourth, Hunter Wright shown in fifth.
That was a slugfest.
It was. Bit of a slugfest. Most of those cars will be repairable. They're going to work late into the midnight hours. Well, we're almost there now.
Almost there.
And they'll get them ready for the rest of the week here at the World Series. We got plenty of action still coming our way. The Sportsman 50-lap feature, I believe, is next. Connor Jones victorious in the Pro Late Model 35-lap feature. This next race is a special event, 50 laps to end the race week for the sportsmen.
And these guys were the only division to get on track with their feature event yesterday. And a guy that we normally see running super late models is a two-time super late model champion here in the World Series. Derek Griffith took home the checkered flag. There's Derek in that number 12 G car, getting lined up down there on pit road. And a little bit extra distance to bear for these drivers. This will be their final event of the week, so we tacked on a little extra 15 laps.
Good show last night by the sportsmen.
Fantastic race last night. A couple of very impressive performances last night, in addition to Derek Griffith, who does not run this type of race car at all, ever. We saw a very strong run last night by Cody Brusso in the 7B car, and Cody actually starts in front of Derek tonight, so that could be interesting.
Victory lane has taken place. They're getting the sportsmen lined up on pit road, kind of have some Pro late models in the way as they try to get the cars lined up. Some more sportsmen coming from the outside as well. Heard some rumblings that there could be some weather in the area again. Let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope that we can get this show in. I don't think there's very much in the area, but there's some more scatteredness, and yeah, it's kind of around the Deltona, Sanford, DeLand area to our west, and depending on which way it's moving, that could probably do us in tonight.
Well, the weather has been a very fluid situation the last couple of days, but I'm confident. I'm confident we're going to get it in tonight. So we'll see.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
Let's hope for the best. Yeah, it's the future cast. I shouldn't have looked at it. I should not have looked at the future cast.
The future cast. You know, I do this thing where I never look at the weather because it's going to do what it's going to do regardless of whether I know about it.
I like to know what it's going to do.
Yeah. My boss is that way.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to know what it's going to do too.
Was he able to bring up the weather on his flip phone?
He was not, oddly enough.
Yeah, but he has. You know what? We can laugh about the flip phone thing, but he has tablets and all kinds of stuff that he carries around.
He's got it all.
He's technologically savvy. He just likes his flip phone.
He likes to pretend like he's not, but he is. Correct. Talking about ARCA President Ron Drager, who famously carries a brick phone. Famously carries his brick phone with him everywhere he goes. He and I think Kenny Schrader's on that plan still, maybe.
I think he's got a smartphone now. Yeah,
finally upgraded.
50 laps the distance for the sportsman division. Let's take a look at our starting lineup. We've got Blake Klauser on the pole position in the 16C. Adam Briggs in the 14 to start second. Tim Sozio, good run in the top three last night for the 16S. And the 7B, last night's runner-up finisher, Cody Brusso in the 7.
Denny Fry will start inside row number 3 in the number 12F alongside the 12G of Derek Griffith, last night's winner. George Alexander in the number 63 car. George actually works alongside former Daytona 500 winner Jeff Bodine on this race car. He will start 7th tonight inside of Chris Huntoon to the outside of row number 4.
Taking a look at the next row, Michael Cormier in the 114. Paige Rogers, a fast number 1 car. Watch the 1 car try to come through the field in the 50-lap race. She could be there toward the end. Daniel Reeves in the 21, starting 11th. Starting 12th, Dave Warning in the 112.
Ron Whaley starting 13th tonight in the number 2 alongside Bill Shea in car number 37. And Matthew Green, one of the front runners.
He was a top qualifier tonight, but has been relegated to the 15th starting spot, so an infraction of some sort has set him back to the tail of the field.
Still working on getting these cars lined up down on pit road. 50 laps the distance. And these cars very similar to what you and I grew up looking at up in the Midwest in the state of Ohio, the outlaw style bodies on these race cars. I love looking at these wedge style cars race on pavement. Really good to see them kind of infiltrating down here to the southeastern quadrant of the country. And this class has pretty frequently put on a very entertaining show for us here at New Smyrna Speedway over the last couple of years.
hopefully rolling off of pit road here in moments for the Sportsman division. Took a little extra time to get them lined up, and now they will roll off of the pit road and get ready to go. 50 laps for their special event last night. The winner, Derek Griffith, in the 12. He starts tonight from the 6th starting position. Officially, Green was top qualifier, but was relegated to the back, so Tim Sozio, who was second quick in qualifying, starts from the 3rd spot. The invert, I would guess most likely, was a 3.
You talked about Ralph Miller, the longtime flagger here at New Smyrna Speedway, getting his start over at the quarter midget track inside turns 1 and 2. Tim Sozio, a graduate of the Ralph Miller School of Flagging. How much? That was a train wreck right there, wasn't it?
Graduate of the quarter midget racetrack
Right,
over there was Sozio,
Yeah,
and he's been racing at the World Series, I think, dates back to 2011, so he's been racing quite a while here on the big track during the World Series.
Beautiful looking number 16 car. I love that throwback Bobby Allison paint scheme on that number 16 car too.
Matthew Green actually pulling to the pits, scheduling to start deep in the field, back of the field, after his time was disallowed earlier, so they're going to work on the car a little bit more before sending it back trackside. You see the winds picked up, cooler conditions and windy conditions actually in the forecast for tomorrow.
And you got to love that logo on that flag. NASCAR 75th anniversary, 75 years of racing. All the way back to 1948. And despite what people may think, I'm only 50. I'm old, but I'm not that old.
50 of the 75 you've seen.
50 of the 75 I will take credit for. But how cool was that to see Doug Coby get the 1948 Cup down there after the Whelen Modified Tour? That trophy actually a replica of the trophy that Red Byron won back in that first strictly stock race back in 1948. That very, very cool to see that trophy presented down in Victory Lane earlier tonight.
I have a prediction. I think we're going to start seeing raindrops before we go green.
Momentarily, you think?
Mm-hmm. I think it's upon us. Small invert, but in this long-distance affair of a 50-lap event, you can expect to see plenty of shuffling in our field. Long-run setups that go a little bit better than the short-run setups.
Tire wear here is always an issue, particularly in these longer distance affairs as well, so that could come into play.
1 to go signal this time from Ralph Miller. Field doubles up. Blake Clauser on the inside of row number 1. Adam Briggs to the outside. Blake Clauser is a rookie, making his first sportsman start during the World Series. And Adam Briggs, not a World Series rookie, in fact, was the 2020 track champion here at New Smyrna Speedway. Won night number 1 of the World Series 1 year ago, did Briggs, and he's in a good starting spot there outside of row number 1. Will the rookie be able to stay alongside in the 16, coming to green, turn number 4 this time as the pace car drops to pit road. 50 laps of sportsman racing. Night 2 of the World Series is underway.
Adam Briggs with a good start to the outside, and we've got a car sideways at the back of the field. That's the number 2 of Ron Whaley.
Keep it rolling. We're staying green.
Clean little Danny Sullivan style 360 off of turn 4, and there's the battle on the racetrack as we are still green down into turns 3 and 4. And Cody Brusso in the number 7 car out of that money spot off of the top of row 2. She is going to jump into that second position.
She had a great run last night, a fast race car. She could definitely be a threat to win tonight. Here comes Griffith to the outside. Last night's winner drops back in line. In fact, takes a peek to the inside. Huntoon goes to the outside in the 30. Sozio to the low side of the 16 of Clauser for third. Plenty of racing action. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, all side by side.
Derek Griffith qualified 7th last night. started outside the front row and led all 35 laps. If he wants to get up front, he's going to have some work to do here this evening. He is to the bottom of Blake Klauser coming off of turn 4. This is the battle for 4th.
Pretty good action here early on, trying to maybe step it up. If they get to the halfway point, I'm sure they would like to be at the front of the field if the raindrops do start to fall before the completion of the race. Side by side now, Huntoon to the low side of the rookie Klauser.
We continue a little bit on Derek Griffith in that 12G car. That car built and prepped by Jason Boyd, a driver who has had a lot of success here at New Smyrna Speedway over the years. And there's Chris Huntoon taking that position away from Blake Klauser, move Huntoon up into 5th.
Now we've settled down a little bit throughout our top 10, nose to tail, single file, some separation toward the front of the pack. Briggs leads by just over a half second over Cody Brusso. Sozio running in the 3rd spot. That's Sozio in the red and white 16, followed by Griffith. Griffith in 4th, started in 6th, has picked up a couple spots here early on last night's winner.
And we saw Sozio and Griffith nose to tail for a good portion of the night last night, but the cars were swapped. Griffith was in front, Sozio behind, and tonight Griffith now faced with the task of trying to find a way around Tim Sozio in that number 16.
Got to catch him first, and so far he hasn't been able to. The 16 strong today. There's Green. Look out!
Oh!
I knew it. I knew on the exit of 4 he was not going to be able to make that turn, and he goes up and slaps the side of the wall. Car built strongly, though. Doesn't look like it affected it much as Green continues on.
You could see that coming. Definitely a lot of experience here calling races here at New Smyrna Speedway, and definitely could see that car way outside of the groove as he tried to close in on Paige Rogers there in the number 1, and Paige having a pretty solid run after starting in the 10th position. And now Chris Huntoon starting to put a little pressure on Derek Griffith in the battle for 4th.
Griffith running right behind Sozio. Griffith running 4th. 5th spot, Chris Huntoon. Huntoon having a nice go of it here early on, a veteran driver from Port Charlotte, Florida. Just about completing the first 10 laps of the race. Going to be 40 to go. This time at the line. 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's the action on the screen during our Flow Racing coverage of the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing at New Smyrna Speedway. Huntoon taking a peek to the inside.
That car really turning well through the center of the corner, and he's able to get to the bottom of the racetrack, while Derek Griffith not quite able to keep that 12G car down on the yellow line, and that's, I think, kind of letting Huntoon think he's going to be able to stick the nose inside. Let's see if Derek Griffith now can take over that position from Tim Sozio, side by side for 3rd down the backstretch.
Sozio the advantage going into 3, but Griffith fights a little bit harder. Bottom of the track, a little bit free, which is good if you're on the bottom. You're going to be able to make the turn. Does so. It rotates well, middle of the corner, picks up the 3rd spot. Huntoon going to look for the 4th position. 4th spot, changing hands as well. Chris Huntoon. One more position forward, has moved from 8th up to 4th. The 30 car's on the move tonight.
And I believe we're going to see the caution flag. We saw Huntoon sticking the hand out the window, and that's why, folks, Mother Nature once again intervening.
38 laps to go. They ran a couple of laps with some light rainfall coming down, but the intensity was starting to pick up, not wanting to take a chance of tearing up any race cars with weather coming from the sky. We have not made it to the halfway point yet. Briggs leads the way, Brusso running 2nd, Griffith in the 3rd spot, Sozio and Huntoon rounding out the top 5 as per our last completed lap. This one looks like a spot of rain that could last a little while.
And talking to some people who have been here, Mark Keeler, our producer, has got a lot of experience here at New Smyrna Speedway. Grew up here, he's worked here, he's been a fan coming here for many, many. He said, I do not remember a year where we ever had 2 nights of rain to start the World Series, yet here we are, Mother Nature sticking it to us
Well,
here at New Smyrna Speedway.
We've got quite a bit of racing in tonight. Had a
Surprisingly.
great 200-lap NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour event.
Probably one of the best races I think I've seen in years.
Excellent race. What I would like to know, the big question is at this point, Charlie, is who turned the air conditioner up to 76 degrees in this room?
My wife's not here, so it wasn't her. She would definitely do something.
They
like
do
that.
something like that, and then they leave. It's
And then they
literally
leave.
just us in this
I know.
room, you and I, and they
And
turned
you-
it up to 76
we do not
degrees.
like it to be
I do
76
not. You know, I
degrees.
like 67 degrees would
Yes.
be good for me right now.
Yes. Now, how many times has that guy in the yellow poncho, how many times has that been you sitting in the grandstands in the rain at a racetrack waiting for it to quit?
Just once this week. He put it on last
Yeah.
night, never left a seat.
Yeah.
He's ready for today.
I got to tell you, I probably have done that 100 times. Yeah.
12 laps completed, 38 laps to go. Still some diehards left after a late night. A late start tonight because of the rainfall that hit during qualifying for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. They were down to their last 5 qualifiers when rain hit earlier tonight. That pushed back the start of the racing. They scratched the rest of qualifying, started by last year's owner points, made for a great race.
And I think that's probably what added to the entertainment level of that race is that field was so scattered because you have guys like Matt
Hirschman
Matt
started back
Hirschman,
in the field.
He's deep in the field because he doesn't run all the races, so definitely added to the entertainment value as you see the fans down on the midway.
Cool look at the concourse here. Some of the different places you can grab some food.
A lot of great food truck offerings here at New Smyrna Speedway each and every year. I'm going to partake in some of that for lunch tomorrow afternoon.
Try out some of the eats and treats.
And we did talk about the lack of space in the parking areas here for race teams, but it'd be great to have you. If you're in this neck of the woods and you want to come out and see a good solid night of short track racing, come check us out here at New Smyrna Speedway. Tickets are available.
There'll be plenty
the
of
rest of the
parking
week.
tomorrow night
Plenty
with
of parking the rest of the week as well.
a regular distance show, not the special event
Yeah.
like we saw tonight.
And if for some reason you can't join us here at the racetrack, as always, love to have you watching us here live on Flow Racing.
A lot of people watching from all across the country, the World Series, and if you've never been here, make plans to come down. Even if it's for 4 or 5 nights, it's worth making the trip here to the World Series. Coming down for the Blewett race on Wednesday night, the Richie Evans race on Friday night, the Southern Super Series race Tuesday night. New addition to the World Series on Tuesday night. The SA Southern Super Series completing in the Clyde Hart Memorial 100. $10,000 to the win. Super late models in action. Going to be just about a special event every night throughout the week. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's always interesting to have those nights where we've got nothing but the regular distance races. And I think we've got that in store for us tomorrow. But I think that is the last night of the week where it's just the regular distance affairs. I think every other night we've got at least one special event as we continue to potentially wait out Mother Nature here. I know we'd at least like to get to the halfway point of this 50-lap feature event, and we not all that far away from halfway, only about another dozen laps or so to go before we would be able to call this one official. Here's a good look at Adam Briggs and Cody Brusso. Cody had a great run here last evening.
Receiving word that the officials are talking with the spotters up on the spotter stand, seeing if their drivers think the track is good enough to go back to green. The rainfall has let up a little bit. There you see
Scott
Menlin among others. Scott Menlin from Track Enterprises, CRA, and Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
I got to tell you, listening to Scott on the PA the other day, kind of directing practice day, he could slide in here and call a night with us as well. Scott's a very talented
Got a little Michigan
announcer,
accent.
yeah, very talented announcer in his own right, but kind of transitioned into race director stewardship down at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, and his
Former racer.
Yep, is built on that role and has now taken a little bit bigger role in the CRA Super Series and Track Enterprises and their stewardship of the ASA Stars National Tour as well. There you see just enough to to interfere with what we're doing here tonight. But
well, they're coming to 1 to go.
Yeah, let's come into the choose, and then we'll go to 1 to go. Let's see if we can get through this choose cleanly.
All right. Well, Sportsman definitely had an issue with it last night. All right. They're going to try the 1 to go and the choose. I think they can do this.
I think we can get her done.
Oh, Cody
man.
Russo hit the
Cody,
red.
that is tough.
So we'll see what happens here. I'm thinking there could be some
reshuffling maybe in the offing here.
Cody Russo goes to the inside. Briggs on the outside. They're waving it off. Yellow lights are back on.
And I think we know why.
And then, oh, yeah.
That's why.
Yep. That is why. I see some people scattering, and it is coming down, not in buckets, but in large amounts of rainfall.
In waves, unfortunately.
So that will single things back out, and I have a feeling that's probably not a good sign for the rest of this program. And I don't want to speculate, but I did.
We don't like to speculate, but it has been one of those nights, and
which is fine.
Already 11:45 here on the East Coast, and we do have to be back at it here again tomorrow. And
we have hours and hours.
I have nowhere else to be.
Plenty of time.
I have nowhere else to be.
Mark, down in the trailer, working with us here on Flow Racing. How about get that leaf blower out and get out there and start the drying process?
Yeah, let's start drying right now.
The wind has picked up terrible. It's monsoon conditions now.
And you can tell the racing surfaces are.
Poor Ralph up in the flag stand.
This
Look at him at the top of our screen.
The third time this has happened to him tonight.
Doesn't get down pretty quickly. He's going to get blown off that stand. So they have made their way down pit road. This one is a golly washer. You send it down to Jim Cantori. He's probably somewhere here on the property.
He's got to be here.
Trying to avoid any debris that might be coming at him. But this is a big one. And it has definitely wet everything down. We have completed 12 laps in our Sportsman 50 lapper. Also raced our Pro Late models tonight. Congratulations to Connor Jones there. The NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour with an outstanding 200-lap race that nobody was going to be able to name a winner until that checkered flag fell.
I think there was a 4-lap stretch there within the final 10 laps of that race where we had a different leader every lap. And you really didn't know. Ronnie Silk didn't have that, I think, probably till lap 198, I think, was probably when he was able to maybe take a deep breath. And even then, it was only about a 2-car length lead. Just a phenomenal event from start to finish. And what a great way to kick off the week for them. Like you said, they're off tomorrow night, but then they're in action the rest of the week here at the World Series, the Tour-type modifieds, and a great entry list for those teams throughout the rest of the week
We
as
had
well.
35 of them tonight. We'll probably have 40 of them, a couple
Exactly. I mean, we talked about what a great entry list we had for the Pro Late models, and even better, an even larger entry list for the Tour-type modifieds throughout the rest of the week.
Tomorrow night's action, 7:30 race time with super late models, a 35-lap feature. The modifieds running 35 as well. That's the Florida mods tomorrow night. Pro late models, 602 modifieds racing for the first time this week, as well as the E-mods tomorrow night. 7:30 will be racing here on the World Series, New Smyrna Speedway, and just waiting to see what the official word is and what we're doing here. The heavy as part of that rainfall has kind of subsided. You don't see it really falling when you look out at the lights anymore, but it has definitely dampened everyone's spirits, and more than that, the racetrack surface.
And that is the tough part because the racetrack is completely soaked.
So it's definitely came through in a hurry, and there wasn't. The only warning was a little bit of light rainfalls. We were getting ready to go back to green. Fortunately, we did not go back to green. Had we gone back to green and that happened, we'd have torn up some race cars.
We'd have torn up some race cars.
I was at Kalamazoo Speedway when I saw something like that happen in a C main of the Kalamazoo Clash many years ago. I watched the whole field. It was like 12 or 13 cars in the C main go down into turns 3 and 4, and they all went up and hit the wall. One of them, I think, even flipped. It was unreal to watch. Like, why did that happen? Like 5 seconds later, I realized I was sitting past the finish line on the front stretch. The rainfall then got to me. They ran into the third turn, and it just opened up.
It happened in the 2003 Glass City 200 up at Toledo Speedway, and that happened right where I was sitting down in turn 1. They came back.
You probably got it on tape.
I do have it on tape, as a matter of fact. Went down into turn 1 after the halfway break, and it started raining in turn 1 right as the field got there, and they were all bunched up, and it was probably a 10, 12 car crash down there. And we were really, really fortunate that we waved that restart off, because we easily could have seen something like that if we were under green flag racing conditions here tonight.
Tonight's action still was scheduled to see the Bomber 20-lap feature and the Florida Modified 35-lap feature. That was still on our schedule for this evening. I'm sure officials are talking right now. So we will continue to wait and see what the official word may be from track officials, but currently under a rain delay or the heavy shower that hit the new Smyrna area. And it, again, wasn't a very big batch. I thought for sure we would get the rest of this night in without any issues, and I guess I thought wrong. There was just the weather the last couple of days been very warm for this time of the year. The humidity level's been up, and there's been plenty of pop-ups that have gotten us.
It's been in the low to mid 80s each of the days that we've been down here, and
the humidity
extremely high for this time of the year down here in central coastal Florida, and that's just what happens. And the really unfortunate part tonight, Adam, is we've been that line of showers. We've been on the eastern edge of that line, and for the most part hasn't really come near us. It's been raining near us pretty much all night long. But just the edge, every now and then it would kind of graze out, and it's blasted us 3 times now. So just unfortunate that we've had to deal with Mother Nature interfering with us. But looking at the weather for the rest of the week, I'm going to knock on every wooden surface we have here, but it looks like the forecast is pretty solid the next 7 days.
Well, officially 12 laps in and 38 laps to go in our Sportsman feature event, with 2 other features still scheduled. The track is wet. I haven't seen drying procedure begin yet. We're going to take a timeout here on Flow Racing, and then we will be we'll be back here in moments to give you an update here on Flow Racing.